The sun dipped low over the horizon, casting a golden hue across the rugged landscape of Themiscyra. The air was thick with the scent of pine and the distant murmur of the Thermodon River. In the heart of this wild and untamed land, the Amazons, fierce warrior women known for their unparalleled skill in battle, were gathering. Penthesilea, their queen, stood tall and resolute atop a rocky outcrop, her eyes scanning the assembly below. Clad in gleaming bronze armor that caught the dying light, she was a figure of both beauty and terror. Her long, dark hair flowed freely in the evening breeze, and her piercing eyes held a fire that could ignite the spirits of her warriors. A hush fell over the crowd as Penthesilea raised her hand. "Sisters," she began, her voice strong and unwavering, "the time has come for us to answer the call of destiny. The Greeks have laid siege to the city of Troy, and our allies there are in desperate need of our aid." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the ranks of Amazons. They had heard tales of the Trojan War, of the mighty heroes and the gods who played their games of fate upon the battlefield. But for the Amazons, this was more than just a distant conflict. It was an opportunity to prove their valor and to etch their names into the annals of history. Penthesilea continued, her voice rising with fervor. "We are not just warriors. We are the daughters of Ares, the god of war. Our strength, our courage, and our unity are unmatched. We will ride to Troy, and we will show the Greeks the true meaning of fear." A cheer erupted from the assembled warriors, their spirits ignited by their queen's words. Penthesilea's heart swelled with pride as she looked upon her sisters in arms. She knew the path ahead would be fraught with danger, but she also knew that the Amazons were more than ready to face it. As the sun finally dipped below the horizon, casting the land into twilight, Penthesilea raised her spear high. "Prepare yourselves, my sisters. At dawn, we ride to war." The Amazons dispersed, each warrior moving with purpose and determination. They sharpened their weapons, tended to their horses, and donned their armor, all the while chanting songs of battle and glory. The night was alive with the sounds of preparation, a symphony of war that echoed through the hills and valleys of Themiscyra. Penthesilea stood alone for a moment, gazing out at the darkening sky. She felt the weight of her responsibility as queen, but also the thrill of the coming battle. She knew that the road to Troy would be long and perilous, but she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With a final, resolute nod, she turned and made her way back to her tent. Tomorrow, the Amazons would ride to war, and the world would remember the name of Penthesilea. The first light of dawn broke over the horizon, casting a pale glow on the assembled ranks of the Amazons. The air was crisp and filled with the scent of dew-kissed earth. Penthesilea, mounted on her steed, surveyed her warriors with a sense of pride and determination. Each Amazon was a testament to their shared strength and unyielding spirit. The journey to Troy had been arduous, but the Amazons had traversed it with the grace and ferocity that defined them. Now, as they stood on the plains before the besieged city, the distant sounds of battle reached their ears, a cacophony of clashing swords, the cries of the wounded, and the thunderous roars of war. Penthesilea raised her spear, the signal for her warriors to advance. "Today, we fight not just for Troy, but for the honor of the Amazons," she declared, her voice carrying over the din of the battlefield. "Let the Greeks know the fury of our blades and the strength of our hearts." With a unified cry, the Amazons surged forward, their horses galloping across the plain with a thunderous rhythm. The ground seemed to tremble beneath their charge, and the Greeks, caught off guard by the sudden onslaught, scrambled to form their defenses. Penthesilea led the charge, her spear gleaming in the morning light. She was a whirlwind of motion, her strikes precise and deadly. Each Greek soldier who dared to stand in her path fell before her, their cries of pain lost in the chaos of battle. Her sisters in arms followed her lead, their own weapons cutting through the enemy ranks with lethal efficiency. The battlefield was a maelstrom of violence and valor. The Amazons fought with a ferocity that left the Greeks reeling. Penthesilea's heart pounded in her chest, not just from the exertion of battle, but from the exhilaration of fighting alongside her sisters. She felt the presence of Ares, the god of war, guiding her hand and lending strength to her strikes. Amidst the chaos, Penthesilea's eyes locked onto a figure that stood out among the Greek warriors, a man of immense stature, his armor glinting in the sunlight. Achilles. The name echoed in her mind, a challenge and a promise. She knew of his legendary prowess, but she felt no fear. Instead, a fierce determination welled up within her. With a battle cry that pierced the heavens, Penthesilea spurred her horse towards Achilles. The Greek hero turned to face her, his eyes narrowing as he recognized the Amazon queen. Their gazes met, and for a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. Their clash was inevitable, a meeting of two titans on the field of war. Penthesilea's spear struck with the force of a tempest, but Achilles parried with the skill of a seasoned warrior. Their weapons danced in a deadly ballet, each strike and counterstrike a testament to their mastery. Around them, the battle raged on, but for Penthesilea and Achilles, the world had narrowed to the space between their blades. She could see the respect in his eyes, mingled with the fierce determination to emerge victorious. She matched his intensity, her movements fluid and precise. The duel stretched on, each warrior pushing the other to their limits. Penthesilea felt the strain in her muscles, the burn of exertion, but she refused to yield. She was the queen of the Amazons, and she would not falter. But Achilles was relentless. With a final powerful strike, he found an opening in her defenses. Penthesilea felt the searing pain as his blade pierced her side, a mortal wound. She staggered, her vision blurring, but she refused to fall. With the last of her strength, she raised her spear and struck at Achilles, her blow grazing his armor. As darkness closed in around her, Penthesilea's thoughts turned to her sisters, to the legacy they would carry forward. She had fought with honor, and she had faced her destiny with courage. The world would remember the name of Penthesilea, Queen of the Amazons. With a final defiant breath, she fell, her spirit soaring to join the ranks of the honored dead. The battle raged on, but the memory of her valor would live on in the hearts of her warriors and in the annals of history. The battlefield was a tempest of chaos and blood, a symphony of clashing steel and anguished cries. The Amazons, undeterred by the loss of their queen, fought with a renewed ferocity, their hearts burning with the desire to honor Penthesilea's sacrifice. The Greeks, though momentarily shaken by the Amazonian onslaught, regrouped under the command of their seasoned leaders. Achilles stood amidst the turmoil, his gaze fixed on the fallen form of Penthesilea. He felt a strange mix of triumph and sorrow, a respect for the warrior queen who had faced him with such unyielding courage. But the battle was far from over, and the Greeks needed their champion. "To me, my brothers!" Achilles roared, his voice cutting through the din of war. "We must break their lines and drive them back." The Greek soldiers rallied around him, their spirits lifted by the presence of their greatest hero. With Achilles at the forefront, they surged forward, their shields locked and their spears thrusting in unison. The Amazons met them head-on, their own ranks unbroken despite the loss of their leader. Among the Amazons, a new figure emerged to take up the mantle of leadership. Antiope, Penthesilea's trusted lieutenant, raised her sword high, her voice ringing out with a clarion call. For Penthesilea, for the honor of the Amazons! The clash of the two forces was like the meeting of storm and sea, each side pushing and pulling with relentless force. Antiope fought with a fury that matched her fallen queen, her blade a blur of motion as she cut down any Greek who dared to challenge her. Her sisters followed her lead, their spirits undimmed by the loss they had suffered. Achilles, his eyes scanning the battlefield, saw the new Amazonian leader and recognized the same fire that had burned in Penthesilea's eyes. He knew that to break the Amazon spirit, he would have to defeat this new champion. With a determined stride, Achilles made his way through the melee, his sword cleaving a path towards Antiope. She saw him coming, her eyes narrowing with a mix of anger and resolve. She knew that this was the man who had slain her queen, and she would not let his challenge go unanswered. Their meeting was a clash of titans, each warrior embodying the strength and spirit of their people. Antiope's strikes were swift and precise, her movements a dance of deadly grace. Achilles countered with the skill and power that had made him a legend, his every blow a testament to his prowess. The battle around them seemed to fade into the background as they fought, their duel becoming the focal point of the conflict. The Amazons and Greeks alike paused to watch, their breaths held as the two champions vied for supremacy. Antiope's heart pounded in her chest, her muscles straining with the effort of each strike. She could feel the weight of her sister's hopes resting on her shoulders, the legacy of Penthesilea driving her forward. But Achilles was relentless, his attacks unceasing, and his defense impenetrable. With a final desperate surge of strength, Antiope launched a flurry of blows, her sword a blur of motion. Achilles parried each strike, his eyes locked onto hers with a fierce intensity. He saw the determination in her gaze, the unyielding spirit that refused to be broken. In a moment of clarity, Achilles found an opening. With a swift, powerful strike, he disarmed Antiope, her sword flying from her grasp. She staggered back, her breath coming in ragged gasps, but she did not fall. She stood tall, her eyes blazing with defiance. Achilles lowered his sword, a gesture of respect for the warrior who had fought with such valor. "You are a worthy opponent," he said, his voice carrying a note of genuine admiration. "But this battle is over." Antiope met his gaze, her chin held high. "The Amazons will never yield," she replied, her voice steady despite the exhaustion that gripped her. "We will fight until our last breath." Achilles nodded, a silent acknowledgement of her words. He knew that the Amazon spirit could not be easily broken, and that their legacy would endure long after the battle had ended. As the sun began to set over the blood-soaked plains of Troy, the battle slowly came to a close. The Greeks, though victorious, had gained a newfound respect for their Amazonian foes. The Amazons, though battered and bruised, held their heads high, their hearts filled with the pride of their fallen queen and the knowledge that they had fought with honor. The memory of Penthesilea and the valor of her warriors would live on, a testament to the unbreakable spirit of the Amazons. And as the stars began to twinkle in the darkening sky, the world would remember the clash of titans that had taken place on the fields of Troy. The battlefield lay strewn with the remnants of war, the air thick with the scent of blood and sweat. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the fallen, a hush fell upon the warriors. In the heart of the chaos, Achilles stood over the lifeless form of Penthesilea, his expression a mix of triumph and sorrow. The Amazons, though battered, gathered around their fallen queen, their eyes filled with tears and unyielding pride. Antiope, her spirit unbroken, knelt beside Penthesilea, her voice a whisper of reverence. "You fought with the heart of a lioness, my queen. Your legacy will live on in our hearts and in the songs of our people." As the stars began to twinkle in the darkening sky, the Amazons lifted their queen's body, carrying her with the honor she deserved. The Greeks, moved by the display of loyalty and courage, lowered their weapons in a gesture of respect. And so, under the watchful eyes of the gods, the Amazons departed the battlefield, their spirits unbroken, their hearts filled with the memory of their indomitable queen. The name of Penthesilea would echo through the ages, a testament to the unyielding spirit of the Amazons.